This charter is in Latin with the place names in English, in Old English. See if you can spot which are which. In primis a loco qui apperlice Rodborne, usque feiran thorne, et ab erdum spina, directe per laritha, per scerteleia, et sic per la forces usque sondweia, et ab erdum via usque scerta grava. It has been frustrating, I have to admit, trying to map the Dark Age landscape of the area to the north of Chippenham using Saxon charters. These Saxon charters describe the landscape, the names that they knew the places around them had. You know, these are like boundary stones, rivers, and so on. And this has been quite haphazard. In the past, for example, the Charter of Langley has been put in Langley Burrell instead of Langley, Kington Langley. But the work I've done recently has fixed a couple of landmarks so that we can firmly say that it is, the majority of it is Kington Langley. It may include Kington St Michael, see previous couple of videos. But there is a charter to the north of the parishes of Draycott Cerne, Sutton and Kington Langley that is accurately describing the parish that it is today, with one major difference in that it chops off the northern, it takes a diversion and cuts straight along the Causebrook as it goes back to the Avon. But apart from that, everything else describes the parish as it is today, which is very useful because we can cross-reference those names with other names that we have of the landscape to fix in the landscape where all these places are, which is pretty handy. There is, however, a parish between Rodbourne and the parishes I mentioned before, which is a no man's land, a dead zone of names. But the southern boundary of Rodbourne obviously tells us about the northern boundary of Seagree, and it also tells us the southeastern boundary of Rodbourne gets very close to Draycott Cerne. Nables Farm is traditionally part of Draycott Cerne. And it goes very close to that, a couple of 100 yards away from that farm. I've just come out of Seagree Wood. I think it might be Shorter Grave from, off the top of my head, the Charter of Broken Borough, or the boundary of Rodborough. And Rodborough has its own charter, but it was also within the King's estate of Broken Borough. But it traces, the Rodborough charter can reasonably be traced, unlike all the other charters that are done in this area. We're only a mile away from Sutton, Benger and Kington Langley. So we just come a little bit further north, and this might be Shorter Grave, the short grove, or be very close to here. It might or might not be, and it's quite annoying because the almost impossible charter of Kington Langley, which I've been struggling with for the last several videos, also has a shorter grave, or shortan grave. It means the same thing, short grove. But of course you can have a short grave in more than one parish. But I'm wondering what might be going on with that. It is. I'll have to show you an overlay of the map and so on, and try and explain what I think about it. There is.
It's been very difficult to explain what I think about this landscape. So I'm giving you impressions, and sometimes I get them wrong. But I hope I've made it clear in this particular area. It's very difficult. Rodborough really quite easy to do, but we're not in Rodborough, so the boundary traces its boundary, but of course it shares a boundary with this area where I'm in now, Seagree and Startley, and so the same things can be said about it on that side. But there is a whole parish width between that and Kington Langley, so it's really hard to fit it all together, lock it all down together with any level of accuracy. Now, I said in one of my videos that the gate farms in the area might be an indicator of the an emparkment and a park for deer. The gate thing does suggest deer, but it doesn't suggest it as much as the two toll roads that went past those two farms in the area. I'm not really a modern historian. I knew they were there. I didn't make the link. It is more likely, and it was Tim that let me know about this in his feedback. It is more likely it's something to do with the toll road than it is to do with my my row hedge. But you may wonder why I was a bit sketchy about it and why I never wrote them on the map and drew them on the map. And there was always that level of doubt. Not enough to. I'm hoping that real researchers might find the grains of information that I've gleaned here, may find them useful in their more scientific methodology. I'm hoping that has been useful, but it also opens me up to getting it wrong. But hey ho. This is all much of it is a gamble, but I do check my work. But I will give information that I think there's a reasonable degree that I'm right about it. But it is, you are watching, it's like the old time team, you are watching me develop what I'm doing live, essentially. Though I do edit out. In the Kington and Sutton area and Langley borough, I edited out loads of ideas that when I got home to really go in depth over it with a pen and paper in my hand, I knew it wasn't true. Even though it's very tempting to say it was true, these things weren't. So we're in really sketchy areas. But I'm going to be as hard-nosed about this as possible. Sometimes you just can't find anything out. I didn't do it very well last time, so I'm going to try again. This time I've chosen, this is maple and the hawthorn, and I've chosen a smaller maple leaf and a larger hawthorn leaf, just to show you how sometimes it's really hard to distinguish, to identify under certain circumstances. I thought on the last video I gave an example that was more obvious, but this is much harder, I think. I think this illustrates much more clearly just how difficult it is to sometimes to identify the two. I mean, if I let go of the hawthorn like that, could you be sure that isn't a hawthorn leaf? Now, I know loads of you know straight away that that's a maple, but there are others that don't. This is interesting. This is Himalayan balsam, which is an invasive species whether you like it or not. What makes this interesting, apart from the beautiful purple flowers, is I'm nowhere near water, which means this is out of its habitat. I hardly ever see this. I've seen it once before, where in a wood, high up on a hill, you find some Himalayan balsam. They are looking worse for wear, I have to say. So it could suggest this land is quite marshy in the winter. but I'm very surprised to see it. Blimey, that's a lot of Himalayan balsam. What we might be seeing here is taking advantage of a niche, a small area of light. So this is they've obviously logged here in the last sort of 20 years, leaving all this light to be exploited by a plant with a lean and hungry look. But sorry conservationists, I think they're lovely. And then the canopy reasserts itself, and then no Himalayan balsam. Himalayan balsam, no Himalayan balsam. So it obviously needs strong light for its niche.